What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the 18th September episode of Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including Melina responds to the rumors that she signed with WWE, a death hoax involving a WWE superstar, why WWE split up Mandy, Rose and Otis, Shane McMahon reveals why he left the WWE in 2009, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we won't recap the show but just provide you with the good, the bad and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, the possession of Alexa Bliss Part 2. Kudos to Alexa Bliss for taking a storyline with The Fiend and making the most of it, leaving fans guessing what exactly is driving Bliss to turn on her friends and begin adopting The Fiend's sister Abigail hold. Yesterday's Smackdown saw Bliss further devolve into the dark side, criticizing her BFF's failures to beat Bayley and then enter a trance after Lacey Evans spoke The Fiend's name. If Bliss continues these performances, she won't only top the one where she took $400 from a fan on Cameo and gently turned him down for a date without laughing, but could find some acting gigs coming her way. Number 2, Sasha Banks and Bayley heats up. So far, the Sasha Banks and Bayley feud has been everything the WWE Universe anticipated, with both women cutting fiery promos. The Boss's return to SmackDown after Bayley destroyed her with a steel chair was highlighted by her vow for revenge, as well as a nice follow-up attack by Bayley. The WWE is taking its time in putting Banks and Bayley in the ring against each other, but don't be surprised to see Banks show up at Clash of Champions. Number 3, Big E loses it. Looks like Big E silenced his critics who claim he's too easygoing and fun-loving to be taken seriously as a singles wrestler. He destroyed Sheamus as well as a security guard who allowed the Celtic Warrior to get one over on Big E, showing that while Langston is laid back, he has his breaking point and opponents had best not push their luck. Number 4, good hype for Jey vs Roman. Although it's too early to tell if Roman Reigns will destroy cousin Jey Uso at Clash of Champions, cementing his heel turn, or merely remind Uso who SmackDown's Island Chief is with a solid beating, the WWE has done a good job building up their Universal Championship match despite Jey being a serious underdog. The Samoan street fight showcased Reigns and Jey's toughness and hinted that their upcoming title match will be more than friendly competition. Number 5, AJ vs Sammy vs Jeff. The Intercontinental Championship has been an important part of SmackDown of late, not only for providing some of the Blue Brand's best bouts, but also forwarding some engaging storylines. The WWE wisely went with having Sami Zayn declare himself the real IC champion, while Jeff has agreed to put all doubts to rest with a unification bout, and AJ Styles somehow sneaking into the mix. It's been a powerful program so far, and the triple threat ladder match at Clash of Champions will likely steal the show. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, the women's division undercard is a joke. What's happened to the WWE's women's undercard? While the WWE has thankfully taken all belts off the golden role models, with the exception of Bayley holding the SmackDown Women's Championship, the damage continues to be felt as the women's division has no storylines other than Banks vs Bayley and building up a program between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. While these two programs are certainly good, what about stars like Naomi, Tamina, Dana Brooke and Lacey Evans? All 4 have become glorified jobbers rather than future contenders for the women's belt. Number 2, SmackDown Mystery Woman. Who cares? Just in case you're wondering why we forgot to mention Carmella, well, fear not, as we're pretty sure the SmackDown Mystery Woman is Carmella, a wrestler sorely in need of a career jumpstart, but who is unlikely to get anything once her vignettes are over. Carmella's career has been a dumpster fire since she dropped the SmackDown Women's Championship, and in all fairness, her win was a fluke that did nothing to get her over. Number 3, Otis's nonsensical Money in the Bank storyline. Heavy Machinery's Otis is in a bad way again, as his main squeeze Mandy Rose has been traded to Raw, and now the 2020 Money in the Bank winner is being sued by The Miz and Morrison for Money in the Bank negligence. While this is a novel direction for Otis, it's nonsensical nonetheless, as many wrestlers have sat on their briefcase until the moment is right. While Otis, Miz and Morrison have a knack for comedy, the two storyline developments for Otis of being sued and losing Mandy to Raw are doing nothing to push him, and it's possible we could see Otis become another failed Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Now, there was nothing downright ugly of last night's show. In fact, it's another strong showing from SmackDown. But what did you guys think of the show? Let us know in the comments down below. Which is better right now, Raw or SmackDown? But that was the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of SmackDown. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Melina responding to the rumors that she signed with WWE. Our rumors have been flying around since 18 September about former WWE Divas and Women's Champion Melina returning to the company. Melina, who managed the team of Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury aka Eminem, later competed in the ring, winning the Divas Championship twice and the Women's belt 3 times before she was released in 2011. A PW Insider reported that Melina has signed with the WWE. However, she's taken to social media to deny the rumors, blasting the sites that reported she'd signed and noting on Facebook that "I am not signed with the WWE, but that doesn't mean it's not a possibility. My reason for this post is that it bothers me that these sites lie to fans. If I potentially get signed, don't forgive them for lying to you. I know there are those that aren't a fan of mine, but I still will care about them as I do my own fans. I don't like when people lie to you and bring up your hopes. You deserve better than that. You should demand better than that." Now, it can be frustrating to find reliable wrestling news, but PW Insider is a reputable source. And doesn't every wrestler deny that they're not being signed? Just look at Edge. He denied he was returning, and then he turns up at the Royal Rumble. What do you guys think? Is she signed or not? Next up, Sting never talked to The Undertaker about a WWE match. WCW icon Sting's name was often brought up as a potential WrestleMania dream opponent for The Undertaker, but despite the rumors and fan buzz, nothing came about. Recently, The Undertaker talked to Barstool Sports and was asked whether he ever spoke with the Phenom. "Not even once. I knew him from my days in WCW in the fairness, late 80s, but I never actually saw him again until he joined WWE. It's crazy that we never spoke. We never called each other and discussed, hey, would you like to do this mega match or whatever? My schedule was always full. There was always guys waiting to face me. Maybe it will remain something like a what could have been situation, kinda like what would have happened if Ali and Tyson faced off. Our audience always wants to see it, but it's just one of those things." Now, although WCW franchise player Sting wrestled 2 matches in the WWE, fans never got to see the Stinger battle The Undertaker. It's unlikely to happen now, as Sting's ability to get cleared for an in-ring return seems unlikely. Do you think WWE should have had Sting wrestle The Undertaker instead of Seth Rollins and Triple H? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Shane McMahon reveals why he left the WWE in 2009. Shane McMahon shocked the wrestling world when he left the family business in 2009, pursuing outside interest including heading up China Broadband Inc. and You On Demand. Shane O'Mac recently spoke with Corey Graves on Graves After the Bell podcast and revealed the reasons on why he left, one of them being the chance to see how he could fare outside the WWE cocoon, and also one of the bigger driving factors was I have 3 boys and make sure that I was their life a little bit. I wanted more time with them, and my leave allowed me to invest time, which is the most valuable commodity as you're aware. So I was able to coach all my sons' Pee-wee football until they got to high school, thoroughly being in their lives, just being around a whole lot. Seeing a lot of them was one of the driving forces for me doing so, as well as immersing myself into the business that I wanted to do and testing myself. Shane seems satisfied with his accomplishments and has been a consistent part of the WWE since returning in 2016. With Shane running Raw Underground and rumors flying around that he might take over the creative aspect of Raw from Bruce Pritchard, Shane's WWE career seems busier than ever. Next up, why WWE split up Otis and Mandy. If you're wondering why they split up the super couple, despite the fans loving their kayfabe romance, as noted in an earlier video, they apparently have no definite plans for Rose on Raw, but it looks like it's going to be used to forward the feud between Otis and The Miz. Dave Meltzer commented on the situation in the latest Wrestling Observer Radio. They are doing a unique angle where Rose has been moved from Smackdown to Raw with the idea it will mess with her relationship with Otis. It was portrayed that Miz has friends in high places at the USA Network because of his reality show and Cannonball, and thus they were able to get her on Raw. The idea is Otis and Rose are now going to have a long-distance relationship, given that no world exists in these characters except Monday and Friday night, and they aren't allowed to be together. As we mentioned earlier, the Miz lawsuit against Otis doesn't make much sense, but that's never stopped the WWE from running storylines in the past. And finally, a WWE superstar death hoax. And last but not least, Wikipedia can be a good starting point for obtaining information, but users' ability to edit the page can lead to vandalism, as seen recently when someone altered Lacey Evans' page and claimed that she was no longer with us. Thankfully, that's not the case, but Evans had fun with it when someone shared the edit on her Twitter account, where she explained, "How did I die though?" But there you have it guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from yesterday's Smackdown, along with the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.